Hi, welcome to the Wellness Project. I'm Holly Jones. Thanks for being here. This practice is going to be a cooling practice. So right now we're in the middle of summer. Everyone's experiencing a lot of heat. So this can also be done if you're just experiencing heat, maybe from hot flashes, or you've got a heated temper. We're going to be doing some cooling poses. So we'll be lying down for some of that. We'll be on our hands and knees. So it might be helpful to have a blanket nearby. We'll also be focusing on extending the exhale, which can be comforting to the central nervous system, to extend the exhale and provide some cooling relief as well. So grab a mat, clear some space, and let's get started. Okay, so to begin, we're going to lie down on our back. If you'd like to have a small, thin prop for your head, that's fine, but it's not necessary either. So bring yourself onto your back with your feet flat and your knees bent. And once you arrive on the floor, notice how your body feels. So just tune in and just feel how it feels to be lying here on the floor. Right now, it might even start to feel cooler than when you were standing, and just notice that. And then placing your hands on your body if you feel comfortable doing so. And there's no right or wrong place to place your hands. Wherever your hands feel comfortable is the place where they should be in this moment. The eyes can be closed. The eyes can be soft. Doing whatever feels right to you in this moment in your body. And with your hands on your body, begin to tune into your breath. Noticing your breath as it's coming in and out through your nose. And now as you're ready, bring your right knee into your chest and place your hands around the outside of your knee. And we'll make some small circles here. And you can do this with two hands, or you can release your left hand and just do this with your right hand. Just making some circles. These can be small, they can be a little bigger. You can go slow, or you can go a little bit faster if you need to. Notice how it feels in your belly, in your spine, and even in your left hip and your left leg. After you do a few in one direction, then switch the direction. You're just making circles here. And then place that foot back to the floor. Pause for noticing before you switch to the other side. And what do you notice now that you've moved to just the right side? And then when you're ready, pick up your left knee, draw it into the chest, and then making those circles. You might want to do a few with both hands, see what that feels like, and then release your right hand and just with the left hand to the left knee. You might find that you have a little more range of motion that might feel a little more comfortable for you. If there's any kind of tenderness, or you don't want to have a fuller range of motion, then containing it is absolutely fine. And can you tune into your breath here and notice how the breath moves as you move in a circular pattern? And then going the other direction. Again, these can be small or they can be wide, whatever your body's calling for you to do. And when you're ready, release that foot to the floor. Release your hands to the floor. And now that we've moved both right and left side, pause here and notice, how does it feel in your lower body? What do you notice in maybe even your upper body? Now we're going to do some rhythmic movement. Rhythmic movement is so therapeutic for our brains. So we're going to inhale, and as we exhale, you'll bring this right knee into the chest, and then you'll inhale to set it down. And you'll do this back and forth. Every time you exhale, draw the knee into your chest. Every time you inhale, set it down. So think of this as kind of going for a meditative walk, lying on your back. Your pace is totally up to you. So we're just linking movement to our breath. So we're not changing our breath. We're just using our breath as a guide and providing some feedback by moving our body with our breath. And if at any time you need to pause, you can pause at the end of the inhale. So the inhale is when you release your foot, so you could pause for just a second. And then as you exhale, draw that knee into the chest. Those pauses are a really nice way to bring some cleansing into the body. And it's just a sweet pause, so you're not holding your breath. There's no gripping. If that's happening to you, slow down, let go of the pause. The pause is really just as if you were sustained. So you're not gripping, you're not controlling your breath. You're really still the witness of your breath. When you're ready, bring both feet to the floor, palms facing up. Here, if you like, you can close your eyes. Tune into your breath. And then open the eyes when you're ready. Extend one arm overhead, and we're going to roll to the side. So this is a slow movement, so you're going to roll to your side and pause. You can use your bottom arm to prop your head. The top arm is in front of you, sort of in front of your face. So before you lift up, think about not lifting from your neck, but using this top hand as a brace to push into for more support. And the top leg will support you. So extend to the top leg, press into the hand, and then slowly bring your body out of the pose. And notice the difference between rising to sitting up that way versus if we were lying down and we came from the head. If we allow the head to bring us up, then there's some lightheadedness that happens and we arrive at the same place, but it feels so much different. So it's very important to practice allowing your body to initiate coming up to seated. So now let's go to our hands and knees. And if you have sensitive knees, this is where you might want to have that blanket to assist your knees underneath you. So placing your hands underneath your wrists and your knees right underneath your hips, so you're in a nice square position. Notice what it's like here in this position, hands and knees. And I'll show this little sequence that we're going to do. It's very gentle. Again, this is a very cooling practice, so nothing too heating. We're trying to counter the heat. So when we inhale, it's just a slight arch and the chin might lift. And then as you exhale, it's a slight rounding back. You're taking your seat to your heels, and you're going to bend your elbows and allow the forehead to touch either your blanket, the floor. And then we'll inhale to come back up. And we're going to link our breath here. So this would be a 4-count inhale and then a 6-count exhale. So I'm not going to count for you. I want you to count for yourself. The idea is that we're extending the exhale by 2 counts. So we're taking our time to find that child's pose. And then we're pausing at the end of the inhale, just for a second. Quick pause before we come into child's pose, and then we pause again. That pause there is also just 2 counts. So we're going to inhale 2 counts, pause, exhale 6 counts back. When you reach your fullest expression of child's pose, wherever that is in your body, pause for 2 counts. And then coming back for the inhale. So do this 2 more times, really tuning into your body and your breath. This time you're going to hold your child's pose. Now if child's pose is difficult for you, there's a couple options. You can widen the space between your knees, and if getting the forehead to the floor is a challenge, you can always stack your fists underneath you. If you happen to have a book, or even if you own a yoga block, this is a great place to have that handy, but you don't have to have it. You can always use your own fist as a prop. As you're holding child's pose here, just notice your breath. It's especially useful to notice it here in your back body. And slowly release. Bring the knees back underneath you, and if it's okay for your feet, pause here in this, what's known as thunderbolt pose. If it's not comfortable, then come all the way up so that you're standing on your knees. Either way is fine. Taking a moment here, placing your hands on the front of your shins if you're in thunderbolt. If you're standing on your knees, then just placing your hands by your sides. And now we're going to make our way to standing. However, you need to make your way to standing. So take your time and carefully bring yourself to standing. Okay, so now you're standing. So come to the front of your space. Look down and find your feet underneath you. And lean from forward to backward on your body. So leaning forward and leaning backward. And notice as you lean forward, how your body stops you from falling all the way forward. And notice when you lean back, how your body stops you from falling back. Going forward and backward. So when you go forward, you might notice that your toes start to grip. And when you lean backwards, you really sink into your heels, and you notice that your back body is there supporting you. So we're gonna rotate forward and backward a little bit longer till that we can actually find ourselves being balanced in the center of our body. And when you feel like you might find the center, you just stop the lean. So when you feel like you're in the center, try leaning a bit into your heels, and notice how that immediately can soften your toes. Your toes can even lift a little bit, and you're really pressing into your heels. Then press a little into the balls of your feet, and notice between the heels and the balls of your feet is the arch of the foot. Lift the arch of the foot up. Relax the toes, let them spread, but be relaxed. If you like, you can roll your shoulders up and back like you're placing your shoulder blades in back pockets. And then think about rooting from your pelvis downward as you extend your spine upward. So this is our mountain pose. This is where we come to become centered. And this is something we can do at any time if we're starting to feel maybe a little bit of anxiety making its way into our day. Finding mountain pose is kind of like that reset button. So another way to help with the mindset and the nervous system is the top-down approach. So setting a positive intention, saying positive affirmations. So when we're in mountain pose, there might be a positive affirmation that you already have. One that I can offer you here would be, I am in my body now. I am here. I am safe. So I am in my body. So the first thing we did was get in our body. So without knowing all the things about your body, if you just start with your feet, to just plant your feet and then feel from the inside. So interoception is all about noticing what's happening in your body, and how you feel is different than how I feel. So I'm offering some suggestions of things that I notice in my body, but it might not be the same for you. So just noticing, I'm in my body, I'm here, and I'm safe. Could be a very balancing, positive affirmation. So that would be our top-down approach. Our bottom-up approach would be listening and tuning in. And a lot of times we use the breath for that. So this next series, we're going to be lifting our arms overhead. If you have any shoulder issues, you can always use cactus arms. So we'll be extending the arms upward. Again, any amount is fine, so it could be here. If you feel the need and you really want to extend and reach, then I encourage you to just reach those arms up as high as you want to. So in this pose, it's kind of like a victorious stance. So we're bringing in some victory that is washing down upon us. So this could even be something that is beyond your physical body. So bringing in that sense of there is something greater and more possible, and then opening up to that. You can lift your gaze slightly if it doesn't bother the back of your neck. So victorious pose here. So we inhale and get really broad, and then as we exhale, we're going to bring our hands down. They're going to come to the back of our body. Now, if you don't feel comfortable touching your body, you can just touch in the energy field around the backs of your legs. You're going to exhale, and please bend your knees if you have any issues with your back. So be kind to yourself. You're going to exhale, coming down to any amount, so it doesn't matter where your hands stop. Then as you inhale, you'll bring your hands either to the front of your knees, front of your legs, wherever the end of your breath was, and as you draw your hands upward, you draw your breath upward. And then you can draw your hands all the way up the side of your body. Again, the gaze can lift, and then we're going to exhale and draw the hands down the body. Inhale, lift, and draw the hands up the front of the body. And exhale. So we tend to think of exhale as cooling. It's typically a cooling pose, and the inhale is typically an energetic or heating pose. So what we're doing here is bringing in some energy, but we're doing it in a mindful, cooling manner, and we're extending the exhale just a bit longer than our inhale. So when we need some energy, but we don't need the erratic, the energy that you might get, say, if you were to drink an espresso in the middle of the afternoon and then you feel fidgety, shaky. So what we're doing here is bringing in some energy, and then we're bringing it into the body in a very cooling, calming way. When you've done a round of 4 or 5 or 6, just bring that to stillness. It's important to bring that to stillness so that you can now go inward. So sometimes I like to close my eyes here. That's up to you. I'm just tuning in to just that one simple movement. When you're ready, if the eyes were closed, blink the eyes open. And now again, using this concept of I need a little bit of energy, so a little bit of an uplift, and then I'm going to do it mindfully so that it's cooling. So we'll bring one foot forward and step the other foot back. Now if you have balance issues, you can use a chair nearby or stand near a wall or something. And with the feet, you don't want to be on a tightrope, but rather on train tracks or 2 parallel lines with your feet. And you've got one foot that's facing completely forward, and then the back foot, you can angle that out a little bit. So just angle it out, you'd be at a 45-degree angle. And this doesn't have to be the longest stance, something that's just comfortable here. So you'll extend the arm that is opposite to your front leg. You'll inhale for, let's say, a count of 4 as you bend that front knee, making sure the front knee is bending safely, so over the second and third toe. The gaze can lift slightly up, and then as you exhale for, say, a count of 6, you might straighten or come to straighter that front leg as the arm lowers down. So it would be a count of 4 to inhale. Pause for just a beat, and then as you exhale, extend the exhale for, say, a count of 6. Now, if these counts don't work for you, you can also go back to your positive affirmation. I am in my body. I am here. I am safe. So if counting messes with your mind, sometimes it does for me, I have to find another way of bringing in the top down with the bottom up. So the bottom up is this movement and this breath. The top down is sending the message that we're okay, that we're safe, that we're in our body. Doing 2 more. And again, if you're new to the pose, then focus on safely moving in the pose. So this front knee needs to be bending over the second and third toe, because we have a tendency to take that knee to the midline, and we don't want that. When you've finished the last 2 that I offered, then just press into the front foot so that you can bring and step the back foot up to meet it. And then find your mountain pose again, placing your hands on your hips. If you like, roll the shoulders up, back, place the shoulder blades in your back pockets. And here we've only worked one side, so it's nice to check in and notice what's different between the 2 sides. You may notice something, it may be difficult to notice, but just know that it's available. And then you'll switch sides. So bringing the opposite foot in front this time, and then the other foot back. And again, we want some space. That helps with our balance. And then with this back foot, we're just gonna slightly turn it out at an angle. Release that hand of the opposite front leg, so whichever side you're doing. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale. Again, making sure that this knee is lined up over that second toe is crucial. Pause at the very top of that inhale just for a second, and then exhale and lower the arm and straighten the front leg. Don't straighten it till it's locked. Just bring it towards straight. And as you're exhaling, can you notice that the belly slightly contracts? You're not pulling it in, you're not trying to suck in your belly here, but it happens as you move. So think of the inhale being this opening, this receiving, and then the exhale is the sweetness that brings you back into your center. I am here now. I am in my body. I am safe. Or counting, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, pause, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whichever method works for you. If the counting is bothersome, you let that go. If you have another positive affirmation, please use that. Please make it personal to you. When you're finished, step forward, just put a little weight forward so that you can bring the back foot up to meet the front foot. Find your mountain pose. So in this version, our hands are on our hips. You can slightly take the feet a little bit wider than you did maybe the first time. With the hands on the hips, really press the thumb and the first finger against your pelvis. Really press in and then press those heels down. When we provide a little more weight in our heels, it also offers that receptive side of the body. The back body is really supportive. And sometimes we emphasize moving forward, getting somewhere, going forward, and so we tend to, in our body, move from this place of jutting our head forward, rounding our shoulders forward. So when we can lift the spine, put some weight in the heels, release the neck, we're also very supported. The spine can support the body just fine. So with the hands on the hips, it helps us just feel a little more grounded. And then with the elbows pointing outward, we're also finding some broadness. So we're long and we're strong. This is another pose that really helps take down some anxiety. And again, if this is something you do often, if you just stand like this as you're having conversation with people, they won't know that you're doing this intentionally. Only you will know that you're doing this intentionally to bring down whatever is too busy in your mindset. Okay, now we're going to go into a twist, and you'll start with your arms in cactus. You might want to separate your feet even a little more here. So using the 4 count, 6 count, or around that, we're going into the twist. So we'll twist to one side and then come back to center for 6. So it's 4 counts to bring you into your twist and 6 counts to bring you back to center. The inhale is the 4 count. Pause on 1, and then the 6 count brings you back to center. So if you like the counting, I'll offer that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, pause, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, pause, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now continuing on, and you might at this point want to exchange or try different things with your arms so they can come down and then lift out to the side and then come down. So this is totally up to you. Just see what does it feel like. You might really prefer one way versus the other, but you're just playing around with what does it feel like in my body. Make sure that you're not twisting from your knees here. So you're really twisting from your waist, your rib cage, not the knees. If you need to, put a bend in your knees so that you make sure you're not twisting them. And finish the twist that you're on, this cycle. Use the 6 count to bring yourselves back to center. Release your hands. Step your feet so that they're right underneath your hips. If you're not sure what that is, you can always place your 2 fists together, look down at your feet and see if that lines up. If you want to, you can also actually place your fists to the floor if that doesn't bother your back. Sometimes just giving a little visual cue to what is feet hips distance, what does that mean? Roll your shoulders up and back. Find that mountain pose and find that positive affirmation. I am here in my body. I am safe. Now placing your hands on your chest, closing the eyes if that feels okay for you, feeling into your heart. Finding your positive affirmation. And when you're ready, softly blink the eyes open, release your hands. We're going to finish with a breath practice. You can do this seated in a chair or seated on the floor if that feels very comfortable and natural for you. So you decide if you want to be seated in a chair or on the floor. Okay, so when you find a comfortable seat, whether that's in a chair or seated on the floor. You might want to prop yourself up with some folded blankets or a stiff pillow or something like that if you have those things available. Otherwise, seated in a chair works just fine. So when you're in your chair, you want to have a lifted spine, nothing rigid, so you're not arching your spine, but you're just comfortable however you're seated. So feet are on the floor. So rather than crossing the legs, just both feet underneath the knees is great here. Slide your hands back so that your elbows are resting right underneath you. Let your face be soft. So since this practice was focused on cooling, a cooling breath that we're going to try is as if you were sipping in through a straw. Or if you can roll your tongue, you can roll your tongue. Not many people or some number of people are not able to do that. So sipping in works just fine. So we're going to inhale and then when you go to exhale, you'll close your mouth, but take the tongue to the roof of your mouth. So you're inhaling through kind of like pursed lips. So you feel that coolness coming into your tongue in the roof of your mouth, and then you just take your tongue, which is now cool, to the roof of your mouth, close your lips as you exhale. So try this for a round of 5, following your own breath. You're not counting at this point. We're just doing a breath observation using this pattern of cooling on the inhale and warming on the exhale, which is a little bit different than our nose breathing. So it might take a few rounds to practice this. So take about 5 or 6 of these on your own. Whenever you feel cool, you feel ready, whatever you feel in your body, just take that in. It's just information. You're just observing it. And when you're ready, softly blink the eyes open if they were closed, bringing yourself back into your space. And I hope this helps you if you've been feeling hot physically or mentally, emotionally. Hope this helps you find some balance. Be well.